Good morning, and welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on the journey toward publication. I am Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols. You're muted, Rhonda. We mute while we do our sprints. I wondered if she was going to remember at the last second. Go ahead, Rhonda.
You were waiting for that. Anyway, I'm Rhonda Hagerman, and I write fiction and nonfiction.
Thank you so much for joining us today. You might notice that we are one person short. Miss Christina Catane, author Christina Catane, is not feeling well today. She's under the weather with a little bit of a stomach bug of some sort. So our prayers go out to Tina today.
Absolutely.
So we had to, at the last minute, kind of switch things up. But before we move into that, thanks for tuning in to all of you who are listening live. We so appreciate our chatters and those that show up every Friday to talk with us. But we also want to thank all of our listeners who tune in on iTunes and on Google Podcasts and iHeartRadio and Spotify and all the other places that we are, all the other platforms that you can listen to us after the fact. And we really appreciate you as well. If you do like what we do here and you appreciate the information and just the camaraderie, we would request that you would like and subscribe what we do on whatever platform it is that you are using. Also, if you'd like to keep up to date with everything we are doing and get updates and reminders of things that are upcoming, why not go to our website and subscribe to our newsletter, which will ensure that you will never miss a single episode of the Christian Indie Writers Podcast.
Yeah, and it's great. We didn't even have to have any kind of a meeting to decide how to handle social distancing. Isn't that great? Like, we're probably the only newsletter that you could subscribe to where you won't get an update on how we're handling our.
Did anyone else find that confusing? Like, I don't really need to know what you're doing about social distancing since I don't have a personal relationship with you anyway. So
I almost kind of don't want to know. Like, can you just put a thing of Clorox wipes out where I can see it, and then I'll just believe that you've cleaned everything. Let's just make a deal. Like, I don't really want to hear how the sausage is made.
Barbie is in our chat already, taken out of text, but could this be a social distancing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wait. So she's got some scripture she wants to share with us. She says, 2 Corinthians 17, wherefore come out from among them and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you.
Perfect. I wonder if that could be go through the Bible and find all of the social distancing. I mean, why not? What else are you doing, right?
Right. Maria is in chat. Hi, Maria. Robin, thanks for joining us.
Hi,
Robin.
guys.
Hi,
Gigi's here. Yay, they're all here. Yay. Oh, and some new faces.
Yep. Hi, Shell. Thanks for joining us today. Also, I got to say something really quick. I got a message last week from one of our listeners, and they're like, hey, by chance, did you guys have a time change? Didn't realize. Yeah. I didn't think about us. Yeah, because we did. So the whole world doesn't do that. I didn't think about that. So we apologize.
Yeah, we just didn't think about it.
Yeah. So this is the world we live in. Yes, we did have a time change, and we apologize for not giving you a heads up. We're so glad that you're all here.
Well, that week we also had a full moon, and we also had
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th. Yep.
Are we sure that today isn't a full moon?
No, you know what, guys? My husband and I just looked it up. Guess what? The moon is in the 7th house and Jupiter is aligned with Mars. I'm not even joking. It's so funny. But okay, there's just a song about like the age of Aquarius or something like that. So if you want to be like a full moon person, well, you may also want to be like a where are the planets kind of a person, right? So it is just kind of interesting that, you know, there's certain planets in alignment and stuff like that. It's kind of fun to look at.
Maria says, hint, that was me. I knew it was you, Maria. I just didn't know like if I should like say. So Maria messaged me like, hey. Where were you guys? No, she wasn't like that. She was very sweet, always very sweet.
So. Yeah. Oh, it's not quite at the same time of the year that they do their daylight savings. Our chat is so educational for me because I'm sort of ignorant about European matters, I realize.
Yeah.
And Canadian ones for that matter.
Somehow I lost the outline, but not that I need it. Like we're kind of just flying by the seat of our pants.
I know.
All right, so we like to start each of our episodes with a segment that we call the What's Up. Right. It's a time that we check in with each other and see where we are in our writing and our personal lives. So I'm going to start with Rhonda because I saved the day today. I just want to point that out that I'm Rhonda's favorite person right now.
Yeah. Yep. That's true. Sorry, Jamie. Okay.
That's fine. I'm used to it. Anyway.
What I've been doing this week is getting used to a new office setup. I'm the kind of person where if I can get a schedule, and as long as I've got habits in place, everything works great. But as soon as like the one little thing goes to another time, or like my stapler gets put over here instead of over here, it screws up my entire
Yes, I get
process.
that.
Yeah. So anyway, I've been working on a new office setup this week and trying to avoid all that confusion. And then also, I haven't been doing a lot of writing this week. My brain's been kind of scattered, but what I have been doing is updating, like learning about the new SEO.
Oh yeah, yes,
2020.
search engine
It's a
stuff.
new year.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, I never really focused on Amazon SEO before, but that's really what I've been working on. So
let me ask you something. You're saying 2020, does it change yearly? Or are you just saying the last time you looked over there, it was a few years or something?
It had been a couple years. I'd say probably about 2018 is the last time I looked at the updated rules. So, and things change so fast. Everybody's algorithms change.
Right.
And, not like we want to play the system or anything, but you might as well stay up to date.
Right. Yeah. Because you don't want to be doing old stuff that you think is working.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because it's a waste of time. Yeah. I hear that.
I would love to get some information from you about the Amazon stuff. Maybe we should do a whole episode on that. So
yeah, maybe we should
in the future. That'd be awesome because I have no clue about SEO.
Well, what's up with you, Jen? Why don't you go next?
Well, it's raining in Michigan. Can you tell? I was like,
I am so surprised.
Yeah. Ooh, it's raining outside.
It's cute though. I love it. I love it being all floofy.
Thanks. I really need a haircut, but obviously that's going to be for a while now because like everyone else, we are in quarantine.
Well, let your daughters cut it.
All right. I've got a meme to share with you after the podcast.
All right. Great.
Yes. Yeah, that bad haircut meme. Yes. Yeah. After 3 weeks of everybody cutting their own hair.
Yes. That one, yeah.
So yeah, we've been in quarantine like everybody else. And because we also are working on my aunt's house, I'm able to kind of like go there too, even though it's going somewhere. It's still quarantine because I'm not seeing anyone else that I wouldn't see at my own house here. So I've been doing some painting and ripping up old carpet and yeah. So have been doing some work. I've been doing more. Oh, I know my what's up. I was going to share this. See, this has been a crazy morning because we switched topics at the last minute.
We were so frazzled when we were going live. It was insane. Go ahead.
So I have a great story to tell. So
yes, I'd love to hear it. Yes.
You ladies have already heard it, but act like you haven't and be just as surprised and as sympathetic. Be just as sympathetic as you were the first time. So I was part of 2 different promotions last week. My first book was part of 2 different promotions. The first one was for sales on just my novella, which I have at 99 cents because it's my intro book. I'm just trying to get people to find my writing. And so I sold a few copies of that. Not a ton, but enough where I was like, great. So there's that many more people have my book in their hands. Absolutely fabulous. And then yay, that's the good part.
Right.
So the weekend, this last weekend, I was part of a promotion for a newsletter builder, which you give away your book for free, which I did.
And then you get email addresses.
Yeah. And it's targeted towards people that like Christian, that are looking for Christian books, specifically Christian romance, hoping to find like really some historical Christian romance readers. So it started Friday. Saturday morning, I went in and I checked the promo and looked at it, and it said there were 326 downloads.
Wow.
That's amazing.
326 new subscribers. I was like, that is so awesome.
Right.
So I went over to my email provider, 0 new subscribers. I'm like, okay, wait, it's because I have to upload them. So I went over to MailerLite, which is the service that I use, and it said, not MailerLite, sorry, it was this book funnel. I went over to BookFunnel and it said I had 0 new subscribers.
Wow. But you signed up.
326 downloads. I'm like,
right.
I forgot to check one box. One little box in this thing that said collect emails. So I clicked it really quick. I lost out on 326 new subscribers because at the beginning of a promo was always the strongest. Everybody sends their newsletters out the same day, so you get the most of your downloads that first day. I did end up with 100 about 100 new subscribers. So I'm not going to complain. That is actually really good.
That's awesome. Good for you.
So being the supportive friend that she is, earlier this week, Tina said, well, you do have in the back of your book to sign up for the newsletter, right? And then it leads to your new book, the second book. You would think. So I'm sharing this because this is a lesson for everyone out there. Do not set and forget. I had uploaded my book and I never changed it. It did not have because I had not finished Esther when this one, it didn't have the link. I didn't put in the back a link to the newsletter because they had to give me their email yeah. So
I know. Yeah. And and if you're new to writing and you haven't listened to our, why you would want to have a newsletter, I'll just briefly say the whole point is to like sell books, because the ideal is you now have their email address. So you gave them a cheap or a free copy of something, but now you have their email address, which is someone read one of your books. So a hot lead on someone to buy your next book. Like that's the whole point.
Right. So,
Jen,
but you know what? Nothing is ever wasted in this world, right? So what this is this is a learning opportunity for everybody else.
Yay.
This is why we have this podcast.
You're so charitable, Jennifer. Thank you for doing that.
Did this. Right. You're welcome. I did this for all of you.
Teacher's heart. That's wonderful.
Yes, to teach you all to not be a Jen. Don't be a Jen today.
Aww.
Check all your stuff. Make sure don't set and forget. So.
Check the little box and all that. Yeah.
But I'm not going to cry. I have 100 new subscribers, and
yay, so that's really something to celebrate. Good.
Yeah. All right. What about you, Jamie? What was your what's up?
My what's up is that it is the International Day of Happiness.
Oh, this is your day. This is the Jamie Hirschberger Day.
Look at my big smile. Just even if you say International Day of Happiness, you will smile because there's that big E in happiness. So take a minute just to count your blessings or do something that makes you happy, even if it's watch a comedy. My husband pulled up some stand-up this morning. I mean, we all are just trying to kind of just keep our spirits up and think happy thoughts or whatever. So that's my what's up.
So there's a lot of chat going on, a lot of sympathy for me. I haven't been able to read everything, ladies. I'm really super sorry. But there is some what's up there that we will definitely look over. All right, well, let's look at this one here because I always love it when people finish things. My what's up? Maria says, I finished my round of edits for my historical fiction novel last week.
Oh, it's so hard to do. Good for you.
She's been doing Camp Nano prep. Yes, you're my girl. Prep is all
I am editing for Camp Nano.
She wants to know.
Doing.
That's the other thing Maria and I talked about offline was if we were going to do Camp Nano. I said, bring it up in the chat because then you'll corner us. So we have to answer.
What do you think, Rhonda? Are you doing Camp Nano?
I think I probably will. We were supposed to be in Florida for a couple weeks in April, but now it looks like that may not be the case, even though I'm still praying that it will be the case.
I know.
So if we don't go to Florida, I will definitely be doing Camp Nano.
Sweet. I'm editing. And Jen, of course, you're writing something. So
yes, I would like a new project, but I'm probably still going to be in the middle of TV. So. Robin says her what's up is Bellwood Publishing is open to submissions for a Snow White anthology. So been working on that. That's awesome.
Can we send our poison apple stories or what did we write? We wrote some sprint about Snow White.
Oh yeah, I read the Snow White.
Me and Tina wrote Snow White. Y'all wrote something else. That's what. Anyway,
I wrote the Snow White gumshoe.
Oh yes, I loved that. Ooh, okay. Anyway, we'll talk more about that later, Rhonda.
Okay.
Sage said something here. Sage says her what's up is the government made a mess of my name change.
Oh no!
Yuck. Golly.
That's disappointing.
She also said a little bit ago that if it made me feel any better, that she has a hard time keeping up with her newsletter.
Yeah,
I think that we all kind of can struggle with that. And I was thinking about this whole episode is just going to be chat. Sorry, guys. We do have a topic. I'm not sure if we're going to get to it because I'm feeling like that right now. Jamie wanted us to have no chat or no topic. I'm like, no, we got to have a topic. But I have been thinking a lot. We are going to be expanding the podcast into Facebook Live starting in April. And then we were going to actually kind of announce it, and we're going to make a bigger announcement. But what I wanted to say was, I've been thinking about ways that we could just kind of jump on Facebook Live and do things. And I'm wondering if maybe a once a week, little mini chat about, okay, what do you guys put in your newsletters this week? Would you guys like that?
So it's kind of
Interesting.
accountability in the middle of the
Right,
week
and
sort of
help
thing.
too. It
Yeah,
would be like
yeah.
help, and so like it wouldn't have to be all four of us. Like whoever's available or whoever wants to, it could just be one of us. Like get on there and say, "All right, so Facebook Live, we're gonna talk about newsletters, or it's our newsletter chat, whatever," and everyone can just kind of throw out like, all right, so this is what I'm gonna cover this week in my newsletter, and someone might have a different idea because we all have vastly different audiences. And even if we did the same topic, like maybe this week we all would talk about our writing inspiration, it would be different newsletters,
Yeah,
right?
and then we would be like inspiring one another for fresh content because we'd
Yeah.
all have our own spin on it. Even if it was the same topic, someone could get all of our newsletters and it would be in our own voice. So it
Yes.
would be just a helpful resource. Like we're not saying we're going to write articles for you to copy and put it to your newsletter. We're saying like how we do our sprints, right? Like we all just kind of share ideas. I love this, Jennifer. I don't know how it would happen, and I don't have an active newsletter, so I probably wouldn't participate much, but I'm one for ideas. So you'd be seeing my gums flapping away, whatever you're doing.
Right. So awesome. So
My flappy gums.
you people that are watching this too, or even listening, you might have noticed that we haven't spent a ton of time like really
Mm-mm.
developing our Facebook page because honestly, if you followed us or if you go back to
Yeah.
episode 1, which some people have,
Mhm.
you'll see
Mhm.
that we just kind of like did this. Like, and we've
Yeah.
always seen it as a ministry and it has developed over the years. And
Right.
so now we're really looking at, we have a different audience on Facebook, I think, than we do even on Instagram or even in Twitter. So we are looking to do that. So if you do not follow us on Facebook, if you have not liked our page, go over there right now, like our page so that when we start doing these things, you will hopefully get notifications. And I will try to tweet as well when we're going to
Yeah,
do things like
because
that.
we didn't really know where to put all of our energy and resources when we
Yeah.
started because we didn't understand who our audience would be or become and what was going to serve them. So we're trying to pivot as things develop, right? So
Yeah, and social media
it's
changes
cool.
over time
Yeah.
too, because
Mhm.
Twitter was definitely our space because there were a
Yeah.
lot of writers, people that are published, maybe not as much, but like there are a lot of like new younger writers, which is kind of who our audience is, I think,
Yeah.
because we are not experts. We are the first ones to tell you
Right.
that. We
Right.
are just trying to help those that like not to make the mistakes that we made like this last weekend.
Right. Right.
So yeah, but we're finding
Yeah.
that I think that things are moving more towards Instagram and Facebook for our audience.
And I
But we're
think
not
this
gonna give
is
up.
valuable to talk about because I think anybody who's watching our show has considered doing their own live stream podcast, especially now that everybody is being, careful and self-isolating and all of that. So if you've ever wondered, so I think it's kind of cool that we share what decisions we make and how we come to those decisions once in a while
Yeah.
so people can get a peek behind the curtain and know how the sausage is made of a podcast, I guess. I like that phrase today, I guess.
But just to be clear, just because our audience is someplace doesn't mean that your readers are someplace, because my
Correct.
readers are not the same place as the audience for this podcast.
Right,
They aren't.
right,
Twitter tends
correct.
to be more of a business kind of a space for us, and so that's why we have more listeners that we connect with on Twitter. But for me, Instagram for sure, and Facebook for sure. Even though I'm
I'm
not
sure.
a huge Facebook person, but like
Yes.
the grandmas love me.
I'm
Like
sure you
that's my
didn't even
peak.
mean, yeah, you didn't even mean it, but you just gave us a beautiful segue into our topic because we're
Good.
talking about audience, right? Aren't we talking about who's going to read our stuff?
Yeah.
And so you're kind of saying there's an appropriate and an
Mhm.
inappropriate audience. Right?
Yes. Agreed.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Rhonda, do you have any thoughts about where you would share your writing or not share your writing if you wrote something and now what, right?
Mhm.
Basically.
Right.
Yes. All right. So really what I do is I submit to newsletters, magazines, local newspapers, um, and then eventually I'd like to be selling on Amazon, which I'm not doing yet. But local newspapers. Okay, so when I come up with something that I want to write, then I figure out where I would kind of like to see it in print and what audience I'd like to influence. Because if I'm talking about my nonfiction, I'm trying to get people either interested in their genealogy or at least not throwing all of their old family documents away so that
Yeah.
other family genealogists will have access to them.
Wow, that's
Um,
really wise.
well, that is my mission in life. I've
Yes,
decided.
because I sometimes, since I've met you, Rhonda, it's already working. Let me just encourage you, because since I've met you, I've thought, someone said, oh, the census. And I said, well, just so you know, genealogists love you. As much information as you could put on that census, a genealogist someday in 50 years, you have made a little, what am I? Am I like your little disciple or something? Because I'm running around saying, yes, I'm your minion. Don't throw away that diary. Go to your local historical society and see if they want, like, seriously, you've changed how I look at like old things. Like, they should be preserved and whatever. Now,
and even the creative nonfictions that you've done with your little stories with your kids. I love that you're doing that.
Oh, I'm Rhonda's little genealogy disciple. Minion. I'm your minion. I love it. Awesome. Oh, do you have more about genealogy or where you want to share your work? So mostly newsletters for you.
Well, there are magazines out there, no matter what you want to write. There's a magazine out there that features just that thing that you want to write about.
Oh, yeah.
So there's always somewhere, and there's anthologies. I really am thinking about actually starting my own anthology of just local, say, taking one local area, maybe Genesee County, Michigan, and gathering stories people have written, creative nonfictions like you've been doing for and compiling that.
Love that. Love that. I know your cousin writes some. I mean, you have a source even for some good material that you already know about. So it wouldn't be like you'd have to put out a big call or something like that.
Right. Because I'd really like to promote Genesee County. It's got so much bad press in the last 5 or so years. And there's a lot of good going on here.
Yes.
And a lot of good that happened years ago too.
Yeah.
So
for those of you outside of our area, Genesee County is where we live, but it's where Flint, Michigan is located. And so people associate, like, when they hear Genesee County, they're thinking that, the bad water situation and the crime and poverty. Which is very much a part. Yes, it is. But there's so much great about being in Michigan.
My daughter's like, she jokes with me about how people tease her when she says she's from Flint. You know what I mean? Like, they think that she's, I don't know if she's been drinking bad water her whole life. And I don't even know. It's fun.
My friends tease me about having street cred because I have a Flint mailing address. If you can see out my windows, there's a barn, a farm here, there's a farm there. Because in Michigan, it's like, this is a Flint address, but we're like, I'm 10-15 minutes from downtown, but I am literally country. Like, so it's just a unique. I know that other parts of the country are not like that. Like, you can drive.
Robin says, poor Flint, we love you.
Aw. Thanks, Robin.
That's awesome. And we know the world loves us too, don't we? Because you say you're from Flint, and everybody goes, are you okay? Do you have enough water? And you're like, oh, I love you because you I love that. I love that.
Me too. Before we go on to you, Jamie, and what some ways that you put your writing out there, do either of you ladies, before you put your writing out there, was there this like frozen moment of fear? Because this is what I want to address this really quick, and I meant to start with this and I forgot, because this topic idea actually came from a conversation I had offline with one of our writers, I believe, one of our listeners, that little bit afraid of putting their writing out there. And so did you guys experience that at all?
Yep.
So what did you do?
Okay, well, in fiction, not anybody, there are good storytellers and there are bad storytellers. So either I'm a good fiction writer or I'm not. People want to hear my stories or they don't. But in nonfiction, there's that. But then there's also, well, what sort of a professional are you? Why should I take your opinion about this or what you're calling evidence? So I just had to kind of get over that. There's not really very little as far as judging the quality of a genealogist until you've actually used them. And, there's like 2 certifications you can get, but really. So yeah, that is what I struggled with.
What about you, Jamie?
The self-doubt is the crippling part. I can write a novel in a weekend, but then getting it published and out there for people to look at is a whole different story. Because they're looking at my guts. They're like this is my bowels poured out onto the paper. And then they're going to be like, oh, it's fine. And you're like, can I take it? Can I handle someone just walking past my my pained and grieved and struggled and, oh, it's fine. Or worse, I have a criticism. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just really a challenge to kind of get to a place where you're like, my audience, I have an audience of one. You know what I mean? And to really believe that, to believe it is powerful, but the getting there is a process. And so you just kind of have to do the things. And I think that this episode of like little places where you can throw a trial run out there. And Jennifer, if you don't mind, I'll just segue into my idea.
That's fine.
Okay,
totally fine.
cool. Yeah. So Duotrope is this excellent service. And what it does is it tells you markets for short fiction. So if you want to even try to polish up one of the sprints you do for our podcast, here's a really good way to publish something without being so invested in it that it's going to gut you if someone criticizes it, right? Polish up a sprint you did, polish up a short that you did, and then go find a market for it. And let the first one be something where you're like, I'm bracing myself for the negative. So you get some experience with the feeling of your stuff being out there for people to walk by and decide whether or not they want to enjoy it. And you can watch it as an observer and not feel so invested in it that it's your baby that you've been coddling and fixing and molding. This just feels like, let's see if people like my writing. And so you can do it with that piece because you don't feel like you've invested so much into it. And it can feel kind of like, that's interesting. That's interesting. They liked that. They didn't like that. And how do you get there with your big writing? I believe you practice it with your small writings over and over and over. So that's why I love the idea of a new writer starting with short pieces, because then you get a lot of girls, you get a lot of people saying, yes, your work is good, I'll publish it. And you get the confidence to then put something bigger out there where people could leave a public Amazon comment that your book stinks on ice. It's a lot easier to take a private rejection letter from a short story collection editor or from a magazine editor to tell you your writing needs a little polish or needs a little work. If it's one of these little sprints you didn't care about anyway, that you only just wrote as a one-off, look, they had something nice to say about it. You'll even be surprised. And then that gives you the confidence to really conquer something big, like, a 2-star review or something like that,
Right. I know I've shared this story before, but the first time that we had writing group and I had to bring a piece of writing and Jamie said, didn't even know Jamie. We didn't know each other at all. We kind of just had talked a little bit in a nano group thing. And so we show up and Jamie's like, I'll read whatever anybody wants me to read. So I'm like, phew. So I handed her my piece of writing, not realizing that if I had just kept it and read it myself, I'd be like this. Instead, I was like just sitting here while she read my words and I was mortified. Because I'd never actually heard my words read out loud with other people in the room. And I was just like, oh, it was very, like, I was ill. But I want to go back even before then. And when you talk about starting off small, I think the first thing a person should do, if you've never shared your writing out there, and I think there are a lot of people that listen to us that are still at that point. There are a lot of people that listen that just want to write and haven't started yet.
Right.
And I want, if you're that person, listen to what I'm saying right now. We love you.
We were you. We were you.
So keep going. And my first suggestion is find your cheerleader. My cheerleader was my friend Cheryl, who loves Christian romance and she loves me and everything I do. I don't care how crappy it is. She loves it. And you need that person, but you can't have your entire tribe be that one person. You need one person to read your stuff and just cheer you on because what you're writing is good. If God's giving you what you're putting down there, it's good.
And I think it's important to be a person you believe, not necessarily like your husband or your mom, because they're just going to say, good job. Right.
Oh, not my mom.
Yeah. Your mom can chat. We'll see if she speaks up right now.
I'll see if that gets her to chat.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jen. Sorry, I know I interrupted you. Go ahead.
So have that one person. And then the next thing is try to find a writing group, which can be hard. We've talked about this in other episodes because we've been in toxic writing groups before and you don't want to be in a toxic writing group. Maybe it needs to be an online one. Maybe some of you, I know there are a few of you in our chat that do work together online sometimes. Find some people that want to do a Skype call or something and you do your writing group that way, but find a group of people that will be encouraging just to get your work out there. And then you move into the criticism, but you got to get it out in front of somebody at some point. and then move into what Jamie and what Rhonda have been saying. Go ahead, Rhonda.
Can I just say that if somebody really absolutely has nobody that they can have on their side as a cheerleader, I volunteer Jamie to do it for.
Aw, I would love
She is
that.
the
I would love
best.
that. Here's the thing, hit me up on social media or whatever, but then accept that I'm just a scattered person and I'll see it and respond to it kind of when I do. So like for sure though, I want to love everybody. I just am a little too ditzy to keep a calendar for it. So reach out and I'll be there. But I do also want to say, if you don't want or can't pay for Duotrope, there's something called the submission grinder. Okay. This is free. And it does pretty much what Duotrope does. So that's a free way to dip your toe into the world of finding markets for your short fiction. The submission grinder. Some people call it just submission grinder. And it does the same thing Duotrope does for free, but it lacks some of the bells and whistles like tracking where you've sent things. So you'll have to be a little more organized. But what do you want for free, right? It'll still give you leads and places where you can send your short fiction, just like the Duotrope does. And you can do it. You can find somewhere. And I love what Jennifer said about just hearing your own words read out loud. Like maybe that's something you can give a safe person a copy of what you wrote and say, can you just read this out loud? Because and the thing is sometimes if you just release the person of any expectation, if you say, I don't care if you like this or don't like this, I don't want your opinion, I need to hear these words, like ask for what you need specifically, then they feel off the hook about it too.
Yeah.
Because if they feel like pressure that they got to give you some answer that your whole writing career hinges on their approval, like that's kind of big to do to someone, right? So just say, I only need to hear this for my own self so that I can evaluate if it's what I want it to be.
Right. Robin says, not my mom and not my husband either.
They're going to be straight with her.
Well, I just from what you said, Jamie, I remember, so I didn't even tell my husband that I was writing. Like he knew that I was I wrote, but like seriously, this is the novel, I'm starting it. But Cheryl did. Like I was like halfway through the book before I even told my husband I had been doing it. And and so and Cheryl had been such a great cheerleader, and then I shared it with my husband, and without doing what you said, I did not do that. And so then my husband, who is not an English major, not a former language arts teacher, came back with like he had marked it all up, and I was just like, excuse me? Like it became like it really hurt me because I just wanted to share it with him and him to encourage me, and he thought I was giving it to him for like criticism and feedback, which is not what I wanted. Because I mean, I love my husband, he's very smart, but he's not a romance reader. He's not my audience. Like I just wanted to share with him, this is what I'm doing. And so now he gets it. It's important
to set that expectation.
Yes, very, very much so. And Maria says, my dad is my cheerleader. Mine is too. Except for my dad won't read my writing. He cheers me on everything else. But if he says it's good, I know it is, because as supportive as he is, he wouldn't say it if it was good, if it wasn't.
He loves you. He wants your success. He wants your happiness overall. And that's why I say ask for what you want, because the people who love you want to give you what you want, right?
Right.
Speaking of that, Jamie, for people like Sage who are scribbling furiously to write down all these sites, are you going to put those in the comments? Or in
I'll try. I will ask someone who knows.
I will do that for you.
Okay,
that's the real answer.
Right. Yay! Thanks, Jen.
Robin says, my husband is a total cheerleader. He makes sure I have time to write, mine too. And he was excited to read it once I got the paperback. His first comment was, this is wrong.
Oh no, did he find a typo? Oh my goodness. Like, oh no, that's like.
Sage says Wattpad is a good place where you work out fan fiction or original work. I have never used Wattpad. I've heard lots of people talking about it. I just haven't had time to even look at it.
Yeah.
Are we? I don't know why. I guess because the Wattpad thing came up and it went in my brain. So I feel like we should switch to what not to do. Not that I don't think anybody should not do Wattpad, but what popped into my head is like, when you share your work, okay, so Wattpad is like a public, not someone who loves you forum. And so far we've been talking about sharing your writing with people who care about you and will be careful with their feedback. So I just want to say, if you're going to jump to like Wattpad, make sure your expectations are in line, because the rest of the world does not understand that their job is to give you feedback. Like you may not get what you want if you jump to sort of a public option before you've gotten any sort of like at a girl from a private, because you'll be searching desperately. Someone please read my work and tell me if it's any good or not if you pick the wrong audience. So for example, a lot of people I see go to social media writing groups and then they want to post, read my thing. But those are all writers and they're there to learn maybe about marketing or how to write or whatever. They're not there to read your story. So it's a misplacement of the document. And then they kind of, when they post, they're like, I posted and nobody read and I hear tears. I posted and everybody ignored it and I hear broken heart. And I feel like they could avoid those disappointments if they just were waited until they were, I don't care if the public likes it because I know it's a good piece of writing. And then you're not making the mistake of trying here and trying there to get people to give you that affirmation that you need for yourself.
I cringe every time I am on Twitter and see a new writer or someone who's super excited and following all kinds of other writers. And then they put out, I just wrote this, and they put something out, like they do a screenshot or whatever. And two things happen. One of two things happen. Nobody responds. Yeah. And then my heart breaks for them because I know that's why they put it out there. And number two, the response they get is not positive because let's be honest, the first thing you write is not good.
It's not, I don't care, especially a first draft.
Yes. And so that's what I'm saying. Like start the small. What, Jamie?
People throw their first drafts out there.
Oh, that's a whole nother episode. We're going to talk about, we're going to have another episode about protecting your first draft, but that's in the future in a couple episodes. But yes, like do the first small things that we talked about. Find your cheerleader.
Aww, look what Maria said.
What?
Oh, she said, unless it's a Christian indie sprint. Because
that was, I was getting to that.
Yay, so, sorry.
No, that's okay. Do these little small steps before you share things. But to kind of like take the Band-Aid off, which is one of the terms I used in our description of this episode. That's why we do the writing sprints, is because we're only supposed to be giving each other positive feedback. And because they're just these little short things and you throw that out there, and some of you haven't done that yet. You haven't shared them out there. And that's fine. We're not forcing you to do that, but it will help you because all of a sudden, once you do it a couple of times, you're like, this is no big deal. People are reading my writing. I'm not dying. I'm not falling off the face of the planet. Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Plus, I have found that when the Christian indie community shares each other's and gives positive feedback and like, oh, that's so great. Oh, I love it. You don't get the negative people in there because they don't want to compete with that. Like, what do they say about light versus darkness?
Right.
Like when you have your light on inside your house and you open the front door at night, the darkness does not come in and invade the light. The light spreads out and lights up the darkness.
Wow, Jen. Right? That smacks.
Well, I don't own that. I heard that from a pastor, but
I don't own that smacks. My daughter told me, and it's probably like 6 years old, and it probably means something really wrong now. So I'm sorry if I've inadvertently been offensive.
So use our sprints and use our community as a way to be our positive writing group for you to give you that positive feedback. That's why we're here. And before we started this podcast, we all would see these social media posts from young writers or new writers.
New writers.
Right. Mm-hmm. And we would feel bad for them. And that was one of the things that when we started this podcast, you'll notice that when we start each podcast, one of the things we say is encourage.
Yeah.
We support. Like, that's what we're here for. We're a community, not just to give you information, but also just to support you in this journey, because it's a journey. We're all moving in the same direction, maybe different routes to get there, but we're all heading toward the same thing.
Amen.
So, Maria says, sorry if you jumped the gun. No, you're fine. Shell says, love that, Jen. Aw, thank you.
The thing is that Maria and Jen can finish each other's sandwiches with no problem. And that's why that works out so well. Right, Jen?
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, whatever. Moving on.
Jamie and I were talking about how Jamie and I have this some sort of we don't have to use words anymore.
It's not telepathy. It's just whatever.
Sometimes we'll be online. We'll just look at each other and we know what each other's thinking. It's like crazy. So you guys are getting that way with us. I kind of feel like you guys are all kind of figuring out our personalities and you're getting it. So we just love that about y'all, that y'all are kind of like our extension of our writing group.
Oh, right. So they're giving us back what we give them, right? Because we want to encourage and support them. And I think that accidentally we've set that up for ourselves. How nice is that, right? Mm-hmm. What a bonus.
Maria says, "Oh, awesome. Loving the Frozen reference."
Oh, yes, because that's what it was. Yay!
Oh, you made a Frozen reference. I
It's
missed
from
it.
the song.
Oh, the sandwiches.
Sandwiches. You thought I said sentences.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I heard you say it. I just forgot.
Yes. Well, and it could also be that I'm just hungry for lunch. And you're like, well, Jamie misspoke because she really wants a sandwich.
Robin says, poor Rhonda is sitting there with her mysterious thoughts.
Actually, what I was doing was I was coming up with a character for my book that's a combination of these two women.
Oh.
So I was a little distracted, but I was kind of working.
Wait,
I can't wait to read about her. I got to read about her.
What? Wait, what two women? Me and Jamie?
Us.
Or
yes.
You and you.
She's watching the show, baby, and taking notes. Right. She's like, yeah,
I'm
boy.
That's super funny because one of the characters in my sprint today is actually inspired by someone we all know and love.
What an excellent segue.
Are we all set? Everyone feel pretty good. Like ultimately what we're saying, the Christian indie writers are saying, start small, find your cheerleader, expand to a writing group of people that you trust.
And love.
Or
they love you.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess you don't have to love them as long as they love you. Is that what you're saying, Jamie?
Yes.
Jamie's just basically explaining our writing group. She doesn't love us. We love her.
I keep like it just, yeah.
Then do our writing sprints, throw them out there and feel the love from all the rest of the Christian indie community. Mm-hmm. And then find a place like Wattpad or Duotrope and find a place to start putting your writing out there. Do not wait. Get your writing out there because it literally is a Band-Aid. Just rip it off and do it. And we will be there to support you.
First time's the hardest.
First time is the hardest. Trust me. I wish I had a hidden camera on me that day. I was beet red and I don't blush. I was blushing. I was hot, beet red, mortified.
What's interesting is it was a first meeting. I had no idea. I thought you had been writing and kind of like to me, you were confident and but like I had no idea that no one had ever seen your writing before. Like, right, John? Right, Rhonda?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm a big faker. In writing class, like in college, I had to take some writing classes, so we had to share, but it was like not the same as people that are legitimate writers. So.
Right. Gotcha.
All right. So without any further ado, today's writing sprint, which was at the last minute, I think we've kind of mentioned this. We changed our topics to the last minute when we found out that Tina was going to be ill because what we had planned on doing, Tina had a very large part in the discussion. And so I had to do the graphics all at the last minute, throw everything together. So there's probably a lot of mistakes in them. Probably, I'm going to guess. But the one I think I got correct was our writing sprint. And this week we decided to do 5 words. Back to the classic that we always love to do from the very beginning of our podcast was choosing 5 words at random using a random word generating website. And the best part is I just copied the words, pasted them, did the graphics, and Jamie was teasing me because I was just like so focused on everything I had to do. I didn't look at the words. And then I shared them with the girls. Right, like we literally had 16 minutes before we went live and we had to write for 15 minutes. And I shared the words and both Rhonda and Jamie were like, what in the world? These words are horrible.
We really don't evaluate, like we really try not to like erase them if they're bad. We really try to work with whatever we're given, but these are so bad.
Well, we used them, and we hope you all use them too. And we can't wait to read it.
Yeah.
after we just get done saying, do our sprints and share them with us. Everyone else is like, look at the words going, no way, lady.
Nope. Maybe next week.
Are you crazy? So anyway, I am going to pick on Jamie because she picks on me every single time she hosts.
Yes, I do.
And so, Jamie, will you please share with us what the writing prompt was and share your writing?
Okay, so we had the 5 words, these beautiful words: monstrous, forestry. Oh, well, I didn't use that one, so that's probably why I don't know what it was. No, I got the others though. Okay, enter. Maybe I didn't get enter either. Okay, cart and attitude, Jennifer. Anyway, here is my story. We deserve this, Buford said, releasing his armload of insurance. The little cans hit the basket, releasing a satisfying cacophony of aluminum against aluminum. Well, that's a monstrous attitude, Mom said, checking cream of chicken soup off the list, thoughtfully composed in her best script on the back of a piece of junk mail. Well, I mean it, Uncle B said. He scuffled over to the cup of noodles section. I followed, hoping he would keep talking. As expected, he needed no prompting. You see, we've made everything too clean, he said. Then his mind got tangled in a web of instructions or ingredients. I took a seat in the empty spot on the shelf where the big cases of ramen noodles used to be. I glanced down and to my right and realized I was in omniscient and omnipresent being position with the tomato soup. So I started a war between the cans of regular and no salt added. Before the battle began, I knew who would win. Whoever heard of soup with no salt? Just as no salt was about to launch a Hail Mary attack, Mom called my name, and it was off to cluck tongues and shake heads at the condition of walk-in coolers and wonder if Mrs. Johnson was going to start selling off her extra eggs. All I could think about was the battle of the tomato soup and how the no salt added cans probably deserved what they had coming.
That is so awesome. This was me at the grocery store the other day. It wasn't soup. It was tomatoes, canned tomatoes. Like there was a ton of the no salt added. And like, I don't think there was any, and I was like mad. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I can add salt. Like, why am I so mad about the no salt added being the only tomatoes left? I'm like, a bunch of tomatoes.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Awesome. Jamie, I'm always trying to figure out how your brain works because I want to be a storyteller like you are. So sometimes it's scary, but I'm going to ask
my husband's phone number.
Not that much information.
You guys can commiserate together. I don't know. The poor guy stands around going like all the time. I feel so bad for him.
That's hilarious.
Oh.
Okay, so was this what was this inspired by? Was this just people who leaped out of your brain like Athena, or was this something that happened to you this week, or you heard someone else tell a story, or characters in a book you're writing?
I have been dwelling, marinating, saturating, whatever, on the concept of childlike faith. And I've been thinking about when you're a little kid and everybody gets together to play tag and you know, or hide and seek, and someone covers their eyes and everybody goes to hide. If the counter is peeking, all of the children come together and say, no peeking. And then they all just agree because somewhere inside they all know that the peeking is wrong. And nobody has to like be a referee because all of the children understand internally, intrinsically, somehow that peeking is bad. And I feel like the Holy Spirit is maybe a part of that, and we squash out that in us. So I'm trying to kind of get back to there in reality. And so since this is a concept that's in my mind, I think it just barfed out when I was told to write something. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally. Yes.
So I was the little kid with, you know, in not understanding what the adults were doing because so whatever. So I'm just going to have a tomato soup war because that's how I feel. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And everybody who's in control has a different, like, whatever. So I'm just going to go here and look at these cans of tomato soup.
I loved it. Sage says, tomato soup always deserves what it has coming.
Winner.
And Maria says, omnipresent and tomato soup in the same sentence. I love it. Yeah. My absolute favorite part of this whole thing, though, this is why I think you were following me around the grocery store, was the back of the piece of junk mail. This is where the note was. Raise your hand if you do that.
Oh, yeah.
I have like every post-it note you could think of here, like everywhere. Like, but back of the junk mail, there's my list. Hilarious. So funny.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate
Who's
it.
next?
I think it's Jen.
I will go next so that I'm not the last one talking everything. So, so we had a little guest appearance before we went live, and I think that our little guest is hovering somewhere in the background of Rhonda's office there. So I hope she's listening. Oh, she's not anymore.
Oh no, she's gone.
Oh, fly, little bird.
Well, she'll have to listen to this later. Here we go. There's a reason I didn't study forestry in college, Gina says, as she drops her pack to the ground, her behind directly afterward. Whose idea was this monstrous hike anyway? Quit your griping, because we all know it was yours, Jen laughed. Come on, only one more mile. Gina shook her head. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure we are going in circles. What? No way. Jen placed her hands on her hips, looking every part the old lady in the pair. We are following the GPS on my phone. Well, if GPS stands for getting perfectly stranded, then we are on the right course. Gina, look, Gina pointed across the path. There's the soda can I left here an hour ago. Gina, you're littering? Head cocked sideways, Gina answered. That's your big concern now? That I forgot to pick up my can? Your save the earth attitude can wait until we find our way out of this maze, don't you think? Jen spun around slowly, head raised to study the towering trees above them. Do you think they have rangers that patrol these paths looking for lost hikers? If they do, I hope he's really cute and is pushing a hot dog cart because that is about the only thing that can save this disastrous outing. A hot dog cart? Yeah, I'm hungry. Well, if we are fantasizing, couldn't you have picked something yummier like steak? She goes, I am fantasizing. I said a good-looking ranger. You saw the guys working at the front of the park. That's a pretty huge fantasy, in my opinion.
Wow.
Gina started laughing. Besides, how many steak carts have you seen in your lifetime? Jen started laughing as well. Why does it have to be a cart? Because it's my fantasy. If you don't like it, get your own. Tears streaming down her face, Jen said, fine, I will. I want Chris Pratt to save us. 3, 2, 1.
Yay! I hope Gina's listening or listens later.
So, for those of you that need to be caught up, Gina is Rhonda's daughter, her adult daughter. That she and I have had some adventures together. Driving back from Rhonda's cabin, we ran out of gas, and first of all, we had called the ladies and said, help, help, we need help. Our car broke down in front of the creepy dolls. There's like this, somebody has put out a bunch of like creepy dolls.
They're creepy.
Like, very
and they
creepy.
dress them.
And they dress them and they look like they're from a horror movie. And so it's creepy. We got out and took pictures, but then on the way home, we like called them and they're like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And I'm like,
we'll turn around and come back.
We'll turn. We're like, we're just kidding. Like a half an hour later, we legitimately ran out of gas and we called them.
We did
laughing.
not believe them. We did not believe them.
So the first time we were serious, right? Pulling it off. And they believed us. The second time, we're laughing so hard, we can hardly get the words out. We're like, we ran out of gas. They would not turn around and help us. They left us stranded on the side of the road. No matter what we said, they would not believe us. They left us stranded. So we ended up calling. Gina called her dad, and her dad's like, call for like, what was it, like AAA, whatever. So they sent someone to bring us gas. Like we literally had to pay, and the guy showed up, and it was Chris Pratt. I'm not lying. It was, but it wasn't like Chris Pratt now. It was Fat Pratt. And I even asked him. He like didn't have all his teeth, and he was kind of like, he looked like Chris Pratt from The Office. Like he seriously was just kind of like dumpy, and so I asked him if I could take his picture. He said no. So when he turned sideways, I did anyway. Anyway, so here Gina and I are, we're still laughing, we're crying, and this guy's trying to give us gas, and we're just like, like it was just. So this is if Gina and I were going to go on a hike. This would be our hike.
I love that. I love the towering trees. When you looked up for the towering trees, and the dialogue was just so snappy and well done that you didn't really need much more than that. Like it was so expertly done. I think because you could hear, like you were more or less transcribing what you knew it would be like, right? Like so, it was not hard. I take it, right? Was it just really easy to write?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because you could hear Gina saying everything that you typed. It's so cool when that happens. It's so good. It's so authentic sounding.
Oh, Maria says, okay, guys, hot dog had just reminded me of a fun story I was going to share. I found out last week that my husband didn't know what corn dogs are. He thought they were giant lollipop candy on stick.
They are.
Yes. Meat candy.
Yes.
Shell says, LOL, Maria, I never thought of corn dogs as cuisine.
That's awesome. That's like omnipotent and tomato soup in the same sentence.
Oh, Gigi says, cool. Wondered what GPS stood for.
Yes, and you guys are just snarky like that too. I mean, it just reads so real if you know these people. I bet you everybody knows these people. So that's why authentic dialogue resonates with people.
Tears are streaming down my face now. It was so funny.
Oh, yay!
You are allowed to go hiking with me and Gina. That's the prerequisite, is you have to cry when you laugh really hard. So, all right, Rhonda. I can't wait to hear what you came up with.
All right. Well, I got all 5 words just out of
Yay!
Okay. of course, I only got like 180 words. To get the 5 words in there, I had to sacrifice like 50 of my regular spent words, but that's all right.
Yes.
Okay.
Well worth it, I'm sure.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure. My attitude is good, with the side of hopeful as I prepare to enter the room. The sounds from inside lead me to imagine that the endless walls of this room are 20 feet high with wonderful old books and ledgers wedged into every available spot. Waiting for Lorraine to join me is close to torture. I replayed her last words to me. Hope. Now, don't go in the room without me, my little old mentor Lorraine asked. She put her frail arthritic hand on my arm as if to hold me back, and her voice lowered to barely a whisper. There are things in that archive that are
Aw.
so rare and unexpected. You'll need my help. Excuse me, a loud, cranky voice startled me. It came from a man pushing a cart of gray boxes of varying sizes, but all the same color. As he pushed through the doorway, I caught a glimpse of monstrous piles, stacks of paperwork, which could have been a veritable representation of the entire northern Michigan forestry. My heart leaped into my throat. The end.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. How did you
Oh,
throw
yeah.
all the words in like that and it made sense? Like it didn't feel
Yes.
stretched at all.
I know. I looked
Well-
at Jennifer. It's almost like we shared a look over the StreamYard because we're like, whoa, did you just hear that? That was awesome. That one sentence with it looked like bloody blah forestry. And we were like, dang, that was a sentence. Wow. Very nice, girl.
Well, thank you.
Seriously. And I loved it because I love the arthritic little old lady because I could tell your voice, the voice of the character, loves the old lady the minute she meets her, right? Like you could just tell. It's like there's a connection. And then here comes Crotchety, who will have to learn to love.
Yeah. Right.
I also loved side of helpful that you said. You said thankfulness with a side of good attitude with a side of helpful or something. And I love that because you're sort of like serving it up to yourself so that you'll go in there and be able to give, right? So it's like you're taking the deep breath before you walk in.
Yep.
What do these people need from me? And then you go in and give it. And it's like, cool. I just love that.
Well,
I love the ledgers being stuffed every square inch, every place that could be stuffed because like within one sentence you gave me an entire like I know what this room looks like. I know what's going on. Like, just like that without having to say the room was full of lots of books and you know what I'm saying? Like you just
there was books and they were stacked on top. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
I appreciate you saying that because that's what I've been kind of focusing on lately is that I just don't add enough setting.
Oh, well, good job. Nailed it.
Thank you.
Love it.
Well, we don't get to see Christina's right now, but hopefully she'll still do the sprint if she's feeling up to it and maybe share it.
All right, ladies, now it is time for our closing segment, which we call our
what's next?
What's next? Thank you. Can you tell I'm trying to find it on
it's new. You know what I mean? Like we just replaced accountability corner with what's next. So it would be more of a what's up at the beginning, what's next at the end. It just kind of works. It sounds nicer and it maybe is more entertaining. Maybe.
Right. So let's start with you, Rhonda. What's next?
My what's next is I'm going to do a little bit more SEO work just to make sure I've got it really ingrained. And I'm just going to take this, whatever this quarantine is right now, and not worry about the things I'm doing for people outside. I'm going to focus more on what I'm doing for myself right now. So
oops,
I was supposed to start with it. Oh, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
now we can. It was weird. It was
Okay. So anyway, the other thing I'm going to be doing is the edits that still can't hear me.
There's just such a lag that like we think that we're not hearing you, but the words come in later. So we'll just be quiet and let you go.
Okay. No, go ahead. Just move on.
No, of course you want us just to move on.
And she can return to her mysterious thoughts. She can go back to her character development of me and you because we're going to start talking more, and then she's just going to make notes in her little notebook.
That's
right. Should I go?
Sure.
Okay. So my what's next is like I don't know, another tomato soup or like I don't know what I'm doing or what's going on. I'm not I'm not really feeling the office hours thing, which is difficult because everything else canceled in my life. And so like, I don't have to take the kids anywhere and we're just being happy Hirschberger household. And so for me to like break all that up to go and sit down and do work is difficult. But the thing is, my job is not shut down because of all of this happening. And it's up to me to decide if I want to use this time for writing or not. And I just don't know how I feel about that yet. So it's kind of a wait and see attitude, especially now that we're moving into a weekend when I normally wouldn't be writing. What I'm hoping will happen is that I will be like, I don't feel right unless I'm doing my writing stuff, because then that would mean I'm really kind of a writer. Does that make sense? And so I really hope that I'll be pulled to my laptop and that I'll get some writing and things like that done because I do have a lot to say, obviously, with things just being a little uncertain. And I do have a lot of things to say to God in particular. And so I'm not sure if it will be sufficient to just share it all with God, or if I will feel like I have to share it all with some of you. And I don't know what the reality of that is going to be. So I'm just playing wait and see.
All right. So it's been hard for me for office hours too, because my girls are all 3 home and everything is different, right? It has a little bit of a summer vacation kind of a feel, even though I bought some curriculum and I'm going to be like beginning homeschooling with the girls because we don't know how long this is going to last. And I've been terrible at that. I've been a failure at everything this week. Let's just say that right now. No, seriously, like I'm not being successful at anything right now. Like, except for I painted a room.
You are building relationships, Jennifer. And what is important? What is important?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm not failing at that.
Yay!
Yes. So coming up in this coming week, so as far as my writing career, I'm trying to decide whether there's another promo that starts the 29th. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to join it or not. I didn't want to because I don't want to like overtax my own readers of my newsletter with constant promos. Right. But this promo is Christian literature, Christian writing. It's not just romance.
Yeah.
So
that's more your target audience, actually.
Well, they all were Christian.
Oh, yeah,
were Christian, but they were Christian romance. So this one is more. So I look through the authors that have already signed up, and I don't recognize any of them as far as the other promos. So it put me in front of a whole lot of different audience than what. So I'm praying about that this week. So this week, again, I got to really get focused on. I've been focused on it, but get some traction on Phoebe's story. I'm reading some books right now, trying to get one of the subplots finish up. And because Will is a police officer, he needs to be doing his job, right? Instead of just like, you're just always there, like just dumb. So he's not dumb. I'm dumb.
Right.
So
right,
I just got to get that all hammered out. So that's what's coming up for me this week. I will be working some more on some graphics and stuff. And I might be working on getting ready for another promotion, but for sure. And I think I'm going to do a Facebook Live or 2 on Christian Indie Writers Podcast Facebook page and see how that goes. And we'll see what kind of traction we get from that. And especially like if we can figure out, everyone that's listening or chatting actually. And if you're listening to this later, Facebook message me or Twitter be faster. Tweet me and let me know like when would you like that? I'm guessing evenings. Or like after the kids go to bed kind of a thing, which would be awesome because you guys will really get to see me at my best when I am tired. Jamie's laughing because those are the best. Let's be honest.
Are you sure that you don't need Rhonda and Tina be holding you up like Weekend at Bernie's so that we can pretend it's you, but you're really sleeping and it's maybe me going, "Hi, everybody, I'm Jennifer Carl Tong" in the background.
Oh, it'll be worth just tuning in, even if you don't care about newsletters.
Yeah.
It'll be worth tuning in just to see that. So, that'd be awesome. Maria says, not too late, please, because that might make it like minute. Oh, yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, we gotta be careful. We're going to have to figure that out. Anyway, we'll talk about it. We'll put a pin in that, girls, because I want to run something off you. But I do want to say, Sage pointed out, Jen, and I will reiterate, that painting a room is not ever a failure. And what's adorable, which Jennifer would never share, is she sent me these little screenshots of like, her family is all together painting this. And I'm like, look at her and she's so happy. Like, who does chores and like is excited and happy. Well, a mama who's got all her little chicks, you know, oh, my little chicks are under my wing. And look at now we're doing I mean, it was just such a beautiful time. So forget this other stuff. Like that was proof positive, Jen, that you did not fail this week. Like it was so beautiful.
Thank you. I do love doing anything with my kids. I do love that. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sage said that's family bonding time. And I agree.
It sure is.
Yeah.
So, all right, great. Anything else to add, ladies?
Surprisingly, no.
Any mysterious thoughts over there, Rhonda?
Nope.
She's keeping them to herself. Thus, they are a mystery, right? Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast. And until next week, may your pen be prolific. May your deadlines be met. And may all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye.